This is great. Perfect, actually. All according to plan. I wanted to solo this fight anyways. Can I beat a Pokemon Y Hardcore Nuzlocke using only F Pokemon? Of course we can. It's a Kalos game. I'm sure this won't be like the worst I ever have played in a challenge video or anything. In a Hardcore Nuzlocke, once a Pokemon faints, it's dead forever, you can't use items in battle, and you need to play on the set battle mode. Before we get started, did you know that only about 20% of viewers are subscribed? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Just for transparency, I do use rare candies to speed up grinding. It's good to be back in Kalos. It's beautiful. The art, the layout, oh yeah, this is why I don't like these games. So we have Lucio from Overwatch, Dexter, and the losing girl from a harem anime. Oh, and Serena, who uses Meowstic as her lead. Great rivals, Game Freak. And all the Elite Four only have 4 Pokemon each, which is way too easy. We grab our starter, who we can use for a bit, a Froakie named Ford. I could have picked Fennekin too, but since it evolves into Braxian, and Froakie evolves into Frogadier, we can use Ford for longer. We also don't really need Fennekin's firepower for our upcoming gym battle since we've got 2 encounters before then. We grab a Fletchling from Route 1 and name him Fletcher. Fletcher also can't fully evolve in this run, but he'll be useful for the time being. I also make a trade with this NPC for a Farfetch'd named Quacklin. After threatening my 3DS at gunpoint, it lets me change its name to Finn. Since Finn has the move Swords Dance, it'll be a great sweeper until the late game. With half of a full team, we head to an art museum to take on Viola and her bug types. Viola leads Surskit and I lead with Finn. With 2 flying types on our team, we have a great matchup for this first gym. A single Aerial Ace can cleanly KO Surskit. Viola's second and last Pokemon is her ace, Vivillon. An Infestation does fairly light damage as an Aerial Ace connects for about 3/4. Infestation does passive damage between turns, but I don't think it'll matter too much. A Tackle does some more light damage to Finn, but one more super effective stab Aerial Ace is enough for the KO. With Vivillon down, we've defeated Viola and claimed the Insect Badge, and the TM for Infestation. With 1 badge in hand, we catch a Flabebe just outside Centurion City, who I name Florence. Having a Fairy type on the team is going to be super useful later down the line. Before the next gym, we get to enjoy some amazing scenery in the beautiful Kalos region. And by some, I mean a lot. Here's a list of places we have to go to before our next gym battle. Route 4, Lumio City. Route 5, Camphor Town. The Shabano Castle. Route 7, Route 6, Parfum Palace. Route 7 again. The Connecting Cave. Route 8, Ambret Town. Route 9, the Glittering Cave. Route 8 again, and Sillage City. So, now you're probably wondering, hey P, what happened during all that time? And you're super cool and funny and smart. Well, thank you. And let me tell you. Caught a Furfrou named Fluffy on Route 5. Ford evolved into a Frogadier. I caught a Sentret named Faith on Route 6, who evolved into a Furret. Fletcher evolved into a Fletchinder. I spent 20 minutes looking for an Axew and then gave up. Florence evolved into a Floette, and I caught a Ferroseed named Frank in the Glittering Cave. This part of the game sucks. But it's done now. We head to Sillage City's Tech Bro rock climbing gym to take on Grant and his rock types. Grant leads with Amora and I lead with Ford. Thanks to Amora's ability Refrigerate, all normal moves are now ice moves, meaning we can resist the now stab ice type takedown. A Water Pulse brings Amora into the yellow as a Thunder Wave connects to paralyze Ford. A resisted Aurora Beam on the next turn does some light damage, but it gets the attack drop. To make matters even worse, Ford stays fully paralyzed. A stab takedown still does big damage even while resisted, but thankfully Ford doesn't stay fully paralyzed a second time, so a Water Pulse can connect and finish off Amora. Second and last for Grant is his ace, Tyrant. I swap into Florence on a Stomp that does about a third. We outspeed on the next turn as a Fairy Wind brings Tyrant into the yellow as a Rock Tomb just misses in return. From there, one more Fairy Wind is enough to KO Grant's last Pokemon. That wins us the Cliff Badge and the TM for Rock Tomb. Now that we've got 2 badges, we can head toward the climactic location of the story, Geosense Town. Along the way, we catch an Eevee named Flint, who we can evolve into a Flareon right away at level 20 to get access to Firefang. We run into the 3rd gym leader, Corinna, and beat Lucario's to a pulp with super effective Firefangs. She claims that this didn't count and it wasn't a real battle and she wasn't even trying. So I'm gonna have to beat her up again later for a badge. We head to the Tower of Mastery and meet the Master of Eyebrows apparently, and head to the local roller rink for our rematch against Corinna and her fighting types. Corinna leads with Mienfoo and I lead with Finn. A fake out on the first turn gives Mienfoo some free chip damage while flinching Finn in the process. I set up a Swords Dance to +2 attack as a power up punch gets a critical hit and boosts Mienfoo's attack to +1. Thankfully though, a +2 super effective stab aerial ace is enough for the KO. Second up for Korrina is Machoke. We all know how good Machoke is after our Sapphire M only run, check it out, but it can't withstand a +2 aerial ace from Finn. Just like that, Korrina is down to her last Pokemon, a Hawlucha. Hawlucha is an amazing Pokemon whose typing makes flying moves neutral instead of super effective. I swap into Florence on a Flying Press, which hits both as a flying and as a fighting type move, and it does about a third. Hawlucha sets up a Hone Claws, as Florence uses a Wish to get some recovery next turn. Wish is a super versatile move, and I really recommend trying it out in a Nuzlocke. Hawlucha sets up another Hone Claws on the next turn, as I use a Fairy Wind, which does about less than half. A +2 Flying Press brings Florence into the yellow, as a second Fairy Wind brings Hawlucha into the red. I know Korrina is going to heal this turn, so I set up another Wish for free. This gives me the ability to get some recovery on whoever I switch in next turn, which is going to be Fletcher. He tanks a critical hit +2 Flying Press to just 20 HP on the switch in. His Flame Body ability does activate on contact, burning Hawlucha, which reduces physical damage by a half. Thanks to the recovery from Wish and the damage reduction, a Flying Press on the next turn does fairly light damage, as Fletcher gets off a roost to heal all the way back up to basically full HP. Another Flying Press does some okay damage on the next turn, as a Peck does pretty good damage in return. One more trade of Flying Press from Hawlucha and Peck from Fletcher is enough to take out Korrina's ace after the burn damage. That wins us a tough Rumble badge and the TM for Power Up Punch. After beating Korrina, we go back to Tower of Mastery and fight Korrina again? Game Freak, who designed this? We decline her gift of a free Lucario because we don't take L's here, and we continue our journey. We ride a Skiddo, get this shiny stone, and the TM for acrobatics from this random lady. We ride the monorail, which is the most lackluster cutscene in this entire game, and fight Serena in front of the Comarine City gym. Did we just fight her in the Tower of Mastery? Yes. Is her team identical? Yes. But no. What's the difference then? 3 levels. That's it. This pointless fight also made me accidentally overlevel Finn for the next gym, so that's awesome. After putting Finn in the box, we head to the neighborhood treehouse to take on Ramos and his grass types. Ramos leads with Jumpluff and I lead with Fletcher. An acrobatics does solid damage to Fletcher, as his Peck in return only does about a quarter. On the next turn, Jumpluff sets up a Leech Seed instead, which is kinda cringe, as another Peck brings it below half. Another acrobatics leaves Fletcher with just 8 HP, as he uses a roost to heal back up to around half. At this point, I don't think Fletcher's gonna cut it, so I swap into Flint on another acrobatics for a third. Flint needs to tank one more on the next turn as his HP drops into the yellow. A Fire Fang in return can KO Jumpluff with a crit, which I don't think was necessary. We aren't quite out of the woods yet, so Ramos sends in his second Pokemon, a Go-Goat. I swap back to Fletcher to dodge the incoming build-up. Okay, I cannot predict the AI. I swap into Frank in his debut as a resisted takedown does fairly light damage. Frank sets up 2 curses to +2 attack and defense, but -2 speed, as Go-Goat uses takedown, chipping itself down thanks to the recoil and thanks to Frank's Iron Barbs ability. Go-Goat switches to Grass Knot, which does about as much as you sitting in your mom's basement. A Gyro Ball, which gets stronger based on how slow you are compared to your opponent, can KO Go-Goat in one shot. Last up for Ramos is Weepinbell. A Grass Knot still does nothing, as a Gyro Ball can cleanly KO Weepinbell in one shot. With that, we've taken down Ramos and won ourselves the Plant Badge and the TM for Grass Knot. Now that we're halfway through our gym challenge, we need to repower all of Kalos. Side note, but this might be my least favorite Grunt Gauntlet in all of Pokemon. Like, this one challenges me from off screen, so I thought my 3DS was broken. The admin literally has one Pokemon after all of this too. What an actual waste of time. Now that the power is fixed, we can explore all of Lumio City. I used the Shiny Stone on Florence to evolve her into a Florges, climb the Eiffel Tower, and challenge Clement and his electric types. Clement leads with Emolga and I lead with Flint. An Aerial Ace does about a quarter to Flint, as a Flame Charge does just less than half, but more importantly, it gets the speed boost. A Quick Attack leaves Emolga just out of healing range, as another Aerial Ace brings Flint into the yellow. Thanks to the speed boost, we can outspeed and KO a Moga with another flame charge, further increasing our speed. Second up for Clement is Magneton. Since this thing likes to set up electric terrain, I stay in and hit a quick attack to break sturdy, which prevents being one-shot. From there, a soft sand boosted 4 times super effective dig can KO Magneton. Last up for Clement is his ace, Heliolisk. Thanks to our 2 speed boosts from earlier, we can outspeed Heliolisk and get off a super effective dig for the KO. That wins us the Voltage Badge and the TM for Thunderbolt. Our speedrun of gym battles isn't over just yet because why have a mid-game when you can explore the entire map between the first and second gym badges? We power through the marshy Route 14, get scammed by a haunted house, which is honestly the best part of the game. Like this shaky cam, the close-ups, amazing. We arrive in Laver City and Frank evolves into a Ferrothorn. It's time to take on the first fairy gym in all of Pokemon and, in my opinion, the best designed gym in all of Kalos. In the master bedroom of the dollhouse, we challenge Valerie and her fairy types. Valerie leads with Mawile and I lead with Frank. I'm not going to spend too much time here since Frank just sweeps the whole gym, but I'll explain why. Mawile is really bad, so Frank can set up 4 curses without being in any danger, and then sweep through Mawile, Mr. Mime, and Sylveon with super effective Gyro Balls. Sylveon did make us use our Citrus Berry after a critical hit Dazzling Gleam, but we still had plenty of HP left over. That wins us the Fairy Badge and the TM for Dazzling Gleam. With 6 badges, this game actually slows down a little bit. We rescue the Pokeball Factory president from a couple of admins with 1 Pokemon each, get the Master Ball, and head towards Dendemil Town. On Route 16, we catch a Floatzel who I name Francesca. We arrive in Dendemil Town and meet up with Sycamore and Dexter. After clearing through the Frost Cavern, I remembered that I missed an encounter, so I head back to the Badlands of Kalos and catch a Trapinch named Fernando. The level cap is high enough now that I can immediately evolve him into a Vibrava and then into a Flygon, making him eligible for the team. We cross the snowy Route 17 on the back of a Mamoswine and arrive in Anastar City. After beating up Serena again, we can head into the, guys, I have no idea what this one's supposed to be, like a trick house? Maybe, like the ones that are like upside down? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're going to take on Olympia and her psychic types. Olympia leads with Sigilyph and I lead with Florence. Sigilyph sets up a light screen to reduce some special damage, as a Moonblast from Florence does about as little as you when you refuse to clean your disgusting room. A Psychic does light damage onto Florence as she sets up a Wish. I really don't feel like scripting 2 minutes of just setting up wishes and killing light screen turns, so basically, Florence stalls Sigilyph until it goes down and light screen isn't up. Second up for Olympia is Slowking. A Moonblast does about a third as Slowking sets up a Calm Mind to boost its special attack and defense. Another Moonblast brings Slowking into the yellow as Slowking hits a Yawn, which will put Florence to sleep on the next turn. I really don't want that, so I swap into Fernando on a Psychic for over half. I swap back into Florence now that the Yawn is cancelled, and she takes a Psychic for about a third on the swap. I set up a Wish for some recovery as Slowking hits another Yawn. I'm too lazy to swap into something now, so I decide to stay in and KO Slowking with another Moonblast. Florence falls asleep at the end of the turn as she gets some recovery from Wish, and Olympia sends out her last Pokemon, Meowstic. Florence stays asleep for 4 turns before using a Wish as Meowstic gets her all the way down to 16 HP. I swap into Frank, who takes almost no damage from a Psychic and recovers it right away thanks to Wish. A Shadow Ball from Meowstic does some more light damage as Frank connects with a Toxic for some chip. We both trade setup moves as Meowstic uses a Calm Mind and Frank sets up a Curse. A Shadow Ball brings Frank to just above half as he sets up another Curse, waiting for his time to strike back. Another Shadow Ball brings Frank to just 42 HP, but he can finally unleash his true power as a +2 Iron Head can KO Meowstic from around half HP. With that, we've won the Psychic Badge and the TM for Calm Mind. Now that I've got a prep for the Lysander fights, I finally get around to going back to the connecting cave and catching an Axew named Freya. She evolves into a Fracture right away, who is a pretty solid middle evolution Pokemon with base 117 attack. We infiltrate Lysander Cafe and beat up Lysander since he doesn't have Doc Ock arms yet. The rest of the Team Flare stuff is pretty trivial, so I'm going to skip to the final battle against Lysander. Thanks to the crazy jump in level cap from the 7th to 8th gyms, we have a substantial level advantage on Lysander. There's almost no mandatory fights before the gym except for the rival fights on the bridge, so we're pushed all the way up to the mid 50s, which even Lysander's Mega Gyarados can't stand up to. Mienfoo goes down to a fly from Fernando, Pyroar can't handle an Aqua Tail from Francesca, Honchkrow actually survives a Rock Slide from Fernando, but a second one takes it down, and Mega Gyarados goes down to a Moonblast from Florence. With Lysander and Team Flare defeated, we've only got a few more stops before the Elite Four. We beat the Nerd Sycamore in a battle, and then head to the rival Bridge Gauntlet, which is the only time this group of side characters actually do anything remotely noteworthy in the entire game. Unfortunately, I still have a really solid level advantage, and none of their teams have very good coverage, so I can pretty easily outmaneuver these back-to-back fights. But with 3/4 of our rivals out of the way, we can finally get to Snowbell City, home of the 8th and final gym. Unfortunately, Wulfric isn't even here, so we need to do potentially the worst side quest in all of Pokemon, the Winding Woods. You basically have to stumble around like a stupid toddler, trying to accidentally find your way to the right place with no hints or guides or even an explanation. The Pokemon Village is in there, go find it. Eventually, we do find Wulfric, and after scaring away all his birds, he agrees to go back to his gym. We fly back to Snowbell because I am not going through the Winding Woods again, and we challenge Wulfric and his ice types. Wulfric leads with Abomasnow, and I lead with Flint. Since Wulfric can't play around Abomasnow's 4x weakness to fire like I do in my Pokemon Diamond A only run, wow, I'm good at these, a single Flame Charge is enough to cleanly KO Wulfric's lead in one shot. Second up is Avalugg, who's super bulky. A Flame Charge only does about a quarter, as Avalugg sets up a curse to boost its attack and defense. A Flare Blitz brings Avalugg to a quarter as it sets up another curse, putting it at +2 attack and defense. Thankfully, since it's really slow and -2 speed, we can outspeed, and one more Flare Blitz from Flint can KO Wulfric's ace, leaving him with only one Pokemon left. Thanks to our held Citrus Berry, when Cryogonal comes out last, Flint is over half HP again. With this extra HP, Flint can safely outspeed and use one more Flare Blitz for the KO, surviving the recoil with 57 HP left. With that, we've won our 8th and final gym badge, the Iceberg badge, and the TM for Ice Beam. With all our gym badges, we can enter Victory Road, beat up Serena one more time, and get to the Pokemon League. Since all the Elite Four members only have 4 Pokemon each, I don't really need to plan too hard. With Fire, Water, Dragon, and Steel, we have pretty solid matchups into all of them. Should be a breeze. Since we can fight the Elite Four in any order, I decide to start by taking on Malva and her fire types. She leads with Pyroar, and I lead with Francesca. We can outspeed and KO Pyroar with an Aqua Tail, which got a crit, but I don't think it mattered. Second up for Malva is Talonflame. It actually outspeeds Francesca, which I wasn't expecting, so Brave Bird connects and does over half. Thanks to that recoil though, an Aqua Tail is enough to secure the KO on the second Pokemon in a row. Talonflame's Flame Body does activate and burn Francesca, but that shouldn't be a big deal. Third up for Malva is Torkoal. I swap into Fernando on a Stone Edge that does fairly light damage. An Earth Power just misses the KO, but another Stone Edge barely does anything. Malva tries to heal with 2 full restores, but she's just wasting her time, as a few more Earth Powers can KO Torkoal. Last up for Malva is Chandelure. Earth Power just misses the KO, but it gets a flinch, which I didn't even know it could do. Hey guys, Editing P here. So I actually looked it up, and Earth Power can't flinch. What? I think I gave Fernando like a Razor Claw or something, or a King's Rock or something like that caused the flinch. I'm actually not sure. I don't remember, and I never went into the menus on Francesca's item like the entire Elite Four run, and I couldn't find it. Sorry. Haha. Anyways, back to the video. Thanks to that flinch, one more Earth Power can finish off Malva's 4th and final Pokemon. Thanks to Francesca and Fernando, we've taken down the first Elite Four member. The second Elite Four member I decided to take on is Drasna and her Dragon types. She leads with Dragalge, and I lead with Fernando. A Dragon Claw from Fernando just misses the KO on his 3rd Pokemon in a row, as Dragalge fires off a Dragon Pulse in return that would have KO'd if it crit. Thankfully, it didn't, so after Drasna uses a full restore, another Dragon Claw brings Dragalge back into the red. We can't finish it off though, since Dragalge's Poison Point ability activates. I swap into Freya as Drasna heals with a full restore. A Dual Chop can cleanly KO Dragalge in 2 shots, but not before activating its Poison Point again. Second up for Drasna is Altaria. I swap into Francesca on a Dragon Pulse for about a third. A 4-time super effective Ice Beam just misses the KO. So Francesca has to take another Dragon Pulse down to 44 HP. We outspeed, and on the next turn, we take down Altaria. Third up for Drasna is Noivern. Since the part Poison type is gone, I can safely swap into Florence on a Dragon Pulse that she's immune to. An Air Slash does fairly light damage to Florence, as she can hit it with a Moonblast, which can cleanly KO Noivern. Drasna is down to her last Pokemon as she sends out Druddigon. Florence can easily outspeed and hit another Moonblast, which can once again cleanly KO Druddigon. With that, we've taken down Drasna and we're halfway through our Elite Four with no problems at all. Our third battle of the Elite Four is against Wikstrom and his Steel types. He leads with Klefki and I lead with Flint. Thanks to its Prankster ability and solid defenses, I can't one-shot it. I want to avoid as many layers of spikes as possible, so I go for a quick attack for just a sliver of damage to get the range I need so that Dig can KO. We go for Dig since we can't afford to take Flare Blitz recoil yet, but it wasn't quite enough for the KO. I go for another quick attack as Wikstrom heals, and it gets a crit which should hopefully be enough for the KO now. We can use Dig and go underground as a Dazzling Gleam misses before going down to another Dig. That's gotta be 1 HP, right? Well, we do the same little song and dance again, and since I'm tunnel visioning into the strategy I planned instead of adapting, we eventually take it down. Second up for Wikstrom is Probopass. I go for 4-time super effective Dig, but since Probopass has Sturdy, it'll survive one. This means when Flint comes up, he needs to tank a super effective Power Gem, which he does to 61 HP. A priority quick attack on the next turn can take down Probopass without us taking any more damage. That's half of Wikstrom's team down as he sends out his ace, Aegislash. I swap to Fernando as Aegislash changes to sword mode to use a Shadow Claw, which crits and leaves Fernando with just 83 HP. Thankfully, we do outspeed with Fernando, so an Earth Power can get the one-shot KO. Last for Wikstrom is Scizor. I stay in and use an Earth Power, but it barely does a third, as an Iron Head brings Fernando to just 5 HP. I swap to Francesca on a resisted Iron Head, which brings her to just over half. I'm thinking an Aqua Tail will KO from here, but it just misses the KO, as Scizor can KO Francesca with an X-Scissor. I played that kinda terribly, sorry Francesca. But I'm not done playing terribly yet, as I send Fernando back in with 5 HP. Why would you do that, P? The answer is that I forgot Scizor has priority Bullet Punch, which KOs Fernando right away. Now that I've thrown away 2 team members, I use my 2 brain cells and bring in Freya. Freya can outspeed and KO Scizor with a Dual Chop. We've beaten 3/4 of the Elite Four, but we just lost a third of our team. Our last Elite Four battle is against Seabold and his water types. I don't have a real answer to this one, so we're gonna have to get creative. He leads with Clawitzer and I lead with Florence. An Energy Ball just misses the KO, as a Water Pulse does about a quarter. Seabold heals, so I set up a Wish for free in the meantime. I set up a Calm Mind on the next turn to guarantee a kill with Energy Ball, as Clawitzer uses another Water Pulse for some more light damage. That damage does get immediately recovered as our wish from last turn was granted. Now at full HP and +1 special attack and defense, a super effective Energy Ball can KO Seabold's lead. Gyarados comes out second. With no electric move to use, an Energy Ball does less than half, as Gyarados sets up a Dragon Dance. Thankfully, it sets up another on the next turn, so a Stab Moonblast can KO the +2 attack and speed Gyarados before it wipes out my entire team. Third up for Seabold is Barbaracle. I set up a second Calm Mind as a Stone Edge does just less than half. From there, a 4-time super effective Energy Ball can KO. Last up for Seabold is Starmie. It outspeeds and sets up a light screen to try to block some damage, but with Florence at +2, a super effective Energy Ball can still cleanly KO. With that, we've taken down the last member of the Kalos Elite Four, and you guys know what that means. Only one battle left. We enter Diantha's stained glass themed room and challenge her for the title of Kalos Champion. She leads with Hawlucha and I lead with Florence. A fast Poison Jab does just less than half, as a Moonblast can cleanly KO Diantha's lead Pokemon. Out second for the champion is Tyrantrum. Thanks to its part Dragon type though, a single super effective Moonblast is enough to KO. Third up for Diantha is Aurorus. Since its moveset isn't very threatening, I go ahead and set up a Wish for some recovery, as Aurorus just sets up a useless Reflect. An Energy Ball does about a half, as Aurorus sets up a second screen, this time Light Screen. Since I know Energy Ball won't KO now, I set up a Calm Mind as Aurorus uses a Blizzard that connects, but not for that much damage. We repeat this turn again as I set up another Calm Mind as Florence tanks another Blizzard for light damage, but gets frozen this time. We stay frozen for a turn, but Aurorus just missed a Blizzard, so it didn't really matter. On the turn we thaw out, Florence sets up another Wish as another Blizzard connects and freezes Florence again. Are you kidding? Blizzard has a 10% chance to freeze. That's actually a 1% chance to freeze twice. We do finish off Aurorus with another Energy Ball on the next turn though. Diantha sends out Goodra fourth. A +2 super effective Stab Moonblast is enough to KO before it gets the chance to attack. Fifth up for the champion is Gourgeist. With only 75 special defense, it also can't withstand a +2 Moonblast from Florence, going down in one shot. The champion's final Pokemon is her ace, Mega Gardevoir. I set up a Wish as Gardevoir Mega evolves and hits a Moonblast for... Oh, that's it? Another Moonblast connects and it doesn't even bring Florence below half, as a Moonblast of her own brings Mega Gardevoir into the red. After Diantha stalls with full restores for a bit, her ace eventually gets a critical hit Moonblast, bringing Florence to just under half, as one final Moonblast of her own can knock out Diantha's last Pokemon. And with Mega Gardevoir defeated, we've officially become the champions of the Kalos region and completed a Pokemon Y Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Pokemon whose names start with the letter F. Thank you guys so much for watching. Clearly, I let my foot off the gas at the end there, but I survived, and that's all that counts. If you liked the video, you know what button to press, and subscribe if you really liked it. But if you don't, I'm gonna have to resort to going door to door asking for subscribers again. Hi, can I interest you in our Lord and Savior PomminPs? How is everyone feeling about letter locks? Do you guys want more? Do you want monotype runs for a bit? I saw someone ask for a randomizer in the comments last time, so maybe one of those? Let me know down below. I also want to say thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. It's actually unreal that I started so recently, not even 4 months since my first video, and I'm already at 1,000. I really appreciate you guys. You guys make this so rewarding and make me feel like I'm making content that people do want to watch. So thanks for being here, and I'll continue to make the content that you guys want to see. But with that being said, guys, I've been PomminPs, or P for short, and I'll see you next time.